Okay, so in 1970, we had some major air pollution problems. Pittsburgh was horribly polluted, and interestingly, similarly, so was where I grew up. I grew up in Chattanooga, and people now, anytime I mention Tennessee and growing up in Chattanooga, they say, "Oh, it's so beautiful," blah blah blah. I love visiting there. When I grew up, Chattanooga was an industrial city, just like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had, I don't know the history of Pittsburgh. I mean, I can't tell you how many steel mills were here, but I know that they were all along, all along the rivers, and with the mountains around. Well, Chattanooga has Tennessee River and mountains all around. It's the same setup, and it had a lot of heavy industry, and so we had terrible air pollution, just like Pittsburgh, and just like Pittsburgh. Both cities have gone through a renaissance and have become kind of destination cities. I know Chattanooga, people go there, on vacation, which was unthinkable when I was a child. And Pittsburgh, it's a place people come. It's a rapidly growing place, with a lot of all of the restaurants and the sport teams and a lot of stuff here. Everything but the weather. I can't say I like the weather, but other than that, it's a really nice city, and that's because of this act. In 1970, they had what we call a command and control law, and that was what they said: you have to start cutting your pollution that you're producing. So we had all of these highly polluting entities, and they were told they had to start changing their ways. And I'm trying to think, they referred to this as an end of tailpipe type legislation. Now, in contrast to that, in 1990, we had already, things were getting better, but they passed an act that said, not only, are you having to fix the problem that previously existed, but we want you to come up with ways in developing new industries to prevent the formation of pollution. So in 1990, we had the Pollution Prevention Act. And as a result of this, most parts of the world, most parts of the U.S., because of these two laws in the U.S., most parts of the U.S. have greatly reduced their air pollution, including Pittsburgh. Now, the problem that you have both in Chattanooga and in Pittsburgh is that is the mountains. And so the mountains tend to keep the pollution from being blown away. And so we periodically have really bad pollution here. Okay, so the next slide, I'm going to go on to the next slide, and this is the slide where we have the most air polluted metropolitan areas in the country. And number 5, we're number 5. Pittsburgh is number 5. And again, I said, if you delve into the data related to pollution here, you will find that it has to do with particulate, and interestingly, mostly associated with the roads, with traffic. And so if there are, I wish I'd looked up the website, but there's a website you can go to where it shows specific regions in the city where you have high pollution, and it's right along the major interstates, 376 and others. And then literally if you get a half a mile or a mile away from them, the pollution levels are much lower. So it's mostly air pollution now. The other thing that's on this slide is an air quality index for, I think it's Phoenix or what, I don't have it in front of me, but for some location. And it's showing a series of days. No, it isn't. No, your book has that. Your book has that. This is just showing you how we have green, we have various levels, and they basically, in your book, they give an example I think it's in Phoenix. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah. So in Phoenix, they have some example data, and this is figure 2.15 in your text. And above that, we have the air quality index colors. And if you have green, it's good, yellow is moderate, and so on, all the way down to sort of a dark maroon color. That's the one you want to avoid. And below that, they have this chart which shows ozone and the two different particulate pollutions, PM10, the bigger stuff, and PM2.5, the smaller stuff, more dangerous. And they have 4 days in 2015, and Friday, January 1st, 2016, particulate matter was in the worst possible level in Phoenix, Arizona, for that particulate matter 2.5, the one that can cause heart problems. So we have guidelines that are out there that help us to be safe. Okay?